Started. Madam Clerk, we'll call the meeting to order.
Commissioner Kniezek.
Here.
Commissioner Haddis.
Present.
Commissioner Baidoon. Commissioner Scott. Chair Baker McCormick.
Here.
You have a quorum present.
Thank you. Next item.
B, Chairwoman's remarks.
I would like to thank you all for attending this meeting today. In honor of women in the service, we did approve a resolution today honoring all women veterans. And this is the resolution that appears here. June 12th being the day in which women, June 12, 1948, was the day in which women were allowed to enter into the armed services. So we want to recognize the nearly 2 million women veterans and the increased numbers of women over the next decade that will enter into the military. And so on June 12th, we will recognize that day as Women Veterans Recognition Day. And in honor of that, we have a young woman that was going to speak to that. We'll have her speak shortly. And that is my remarks. Next item.
C, approval of the minutes from March 5th, 2020 meeting.
Madam the Chair, so move to approve.
And do we have anyone to support it? Did we have Commissioner Kniezek support the minutes?
Happily.
Thank you. So it's been moved and supported. The minutes from the last meeting, which was our March 5th. Anybody opposed? Motion passed. We can move to the next item.
Item D1 under new business, a presentation from Alexis Duracell on the Women Veterans Recognition Day celebration.
Okay, I'm not sure if she was able to get through. Her name is here, but okay, let's go to the next item and maybe she'll be able to get through.
I have Commissioner Scott on the phone right now. She couldn't get in, but she is on the phone.
Okay, great, great. Okay, the next item.
2, discussion from Sergeant Stephanie Shannon on issues facing women veterans.
Sergeant Shannon, thank you for being here today. You can go right ahead.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity to share. Definitely being a woman veteran, and you're a woman veteran.
Can you mute everyone except the speaker, please?
Fine, thank you. Hello?
You want me to go forward?
Yes, you can go forward.
I appreciate the opportunity to share. As you know, we had you at our conference last year, and all the great work you're doing as women veterans. Women veterans, 47,000 of us in Michigan, were the most underserved population. And as you stated, on June 12, 2020, they're having a recognition day, which I think is awesome. Since this time of COVID, a lot of things have changed. I've had women veterans reach out to me for resources and support. Often, women veterans that have had a difficult time with transitioning in the military, when we come out, we often don't have a social support system or a community of our own. So me being the founder and CEO of Michigan Women Veterans Empowerment, we're power, well, actually all veterans, but women veterans and their family members in the aid to wellness. Been doing that for going on 5 years now. And the work that we have done has been tremendous, just trying to bring awareness to women veterans issues, bringing awareness to what's needed, providing a voice and a platform. And this opportunity just to share is wonderful. What I wanted to share is that kind of what's been happening. I've been checking the temperature. Some of the women veterans, and I've got various emails, phone calls, and they're asking for help. Some of them needed transportation. Some of them was homeless, dealing with housing issues. It's so many issues that we have. It hasn't changed at all. So my concern has been with COVID, the isolation, being in quarantine, already not having the support, but being at home without the resources. So when I provide free veteran advocacy services, because when I was a woman veteran and I got out and from Desert Storm War, there was nothing available for us. Nothing at all. There was no women veterans clinic, no place to go for women veterans. And even when I went to the VA, there wasn't a woman veterans advocate or anything of that nature. So I struggled for 20 years living undiagnosed with PTSD. And it was the military sexual trauma issue, just kind of share with you, which is MST. 1 in 3 women are sexually assaulted in the military, and 50% of victims are men. But most of the women that are sexually assaulted are usually discharged from the military or put out or labeled to have personality disorders, so they often don't qualify for VA benefits. So every veteran does not get VA benefits. And so my movement has been that once I came to understand my own issues, got therapy. I actually was a homeless veteran before. I worked for the state of Michigan as a social worker for 15 years. Got my bachelor's in psychology. And you would think a person with that level of accomplishment that they will be okay, but really what I didn't have was a support base. So I became a homeless veteran because my doctor took me out on stress leave and just burned myself out. So becoming a homeless veteran was one of the best things for me, actually, because I hit rock bottom. And I entered the Ann Arbor VA homeless veteran program and was given a HUD VASH voucher. And then the support I received, I was able to get the mental health, the physical health, address all the issues that I needed to be addressed. So after about 4 years of me, trying to regain myself, my voice, who I was, I started the organization after I released my book. But the organization is basically a faith-based organization to empower women veterans. We take phone calls from all across the nation. We're in a lot of social networking groups on Facebook. There's all kinds of movements going on for women veterans, because I can say in the last 5 years, it's definitely improved our visibility and our support. So when we think about veterans and women veterans, I think what the issue is having some level of trust and safety. A lot of them do not engage in community events or the things we do because they don't feel safe, or they feel like they're not a part of it. For several years, I didn't even admit that I was a veteran because it wasn't, to me, a badge of honor because of what I experienced. So I'm just generally just sharing with you what I've come across being in the community. I've been elected and I will be appointed once the city of Southfield opens up. I will be a Southfield Veterans Commissioner in the fall. So I will be able to do more effective work. We do not plan on doing any more events this year because of COVID-19 and all the things that's going on, the instability of things. So we won't be able to do that this year because of that. We want to practice safe measures and whatnot, and we kind of want to gauge what's going on in the community before we launch on an official event again. I think people realize that women are veterans too, but I think at this time during COVID, just having someone that you can go to that can relate makes a tremendous difference. So that's where I've been operating in that place of just being a voice, a place, a safe place to go. I've had women veterans, when they do call me, I give them, I find out what county they're in, and I connect them up with their Veterans Resource Navigator, and just kind of try to tailor make things for them, just trying to figure out what do they need, if anything at all. Because not all of us have experienced some level of traumas, but a significant number of us have in itself alone. So that's kind of what I wanted to share generally as far as my background, what we're doing today and where we're at. With COVID, like I said, most of us are isolated. I had a lot of them hit me up and say, hey, Sergeant, we ready to get back on the mission? And I was like, yes, one things are clear, we'll be able to get back out there and get moving. So I think right now it's a lot of anxiety going on, some depression, and a level of frustration financially, not knowing, just like everybody else in the whole world, but specifically our needs. It's been there beforehand. We've always been the most underserved population. So just kind of, trying to provide a safe place for women to go, or just direct them to support and let them know they're cared for, and that their lives and their voices matter.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Sergeant Shannon, for that report. What do you believe that we can do to help women veterans at this point that we're not doing well?
Well, providing a safe place for us. Being a Southfield Veterans Commission and having a partnership that I finally got with the Southfield, City of Southfield Veterans Commission, it's been 2 years now. We didn't have a place to go. We didn't have a place to do any events. We didn't have anything like that. So providing a place to go, a place to meet, maybe having some meetups. I think what would be good is even having an opportunity for them to share their concerns. My concern is mainly keeping women veterans alive. As we know, many don't know, 22 veterans commit suicide every day. Women veterans commit suicide 4 times more than their civilian counterparts. So the mental health aspect, with the VA being closed, the challenge with COVID right now, you can't just go in and get an appointment. Everything has to be by phone. And I know things are starting to open up, but I think we've kind of lost some ground there in our movement to empower women veterans. So I think just when you hear of a veteran, listening to them, asking them if I can help or support, not assuming anything, and directing them to advocates like veteran service organizations, ones that work. Because I tell most of the people that I support and advocate for, I said, I would not send you to anyone I don't feel that's safe and that's not going to take care of you. So if you know someone that does good work, that follows up and connects veterans, of all veterans, just provide that resource to them and just be there for them and let them know the door is open. And confidentiality, that's very important, because when you disclose, I talk very open about my experience because I'm healed from it. But when I was in the trauma state, I didn't talk much because I was embarrassed. I didn't want anybody to know. So I think providing that opportunity for us to be transparent and then providing a safe place for us to get the support.
Okay, and what would that safe place look like when you say a meeting location? What does that look like?
There's no really community centers. You have the VA's medical, but there's no specific place where we can say that's ours, that we go to. When I started out here in 2016, oh my God, I had a bear, just trying to get phone calls returned, trying to find a place for us to meet. Mr. Chapman, he was a great advocate for women veterans.
Yes, he was.
Oh, I love that man.
Mm-hmm.
When I met him, I was just like, oh my God. And he said, Sergeant Stephanie, I'm going to help you. We want to help you. He really did what he said he was going to do. So having someone like that, another veteran, helps. I think we shouldn't separate women from men. I know some women don't want to be around the male veterans, but we serve together. And some of my healing and a lot of my support have came from men. So I don't want to exclude men. I don't want it to be us and them. But I think a place to meet, even if it's quarterly, having a rally or a meetup or something in the community, you know, or even if it's every 6 months, or even a recognition day, that's a good place to start. You know, so.
Okay, well, thank you so much for that. I always want to get information directly from people that are on the ground, as well as recommendations for change. Sometimes we don't always know what that change will look like. So that's why I wanted you here today, and I really appreciate that. Any other commissioners have any questions? No?
Commissioner Baker, McCormick, this is
Yes.
Julian.
Mm-hmm.
It's not on this topic, but just really quick, Mrs. Doricio is still having technical difficulties. So
Okay, can she just call in? Just
we
give
tried
her
to do it
a
that
number
way.
to
Tried to do it
call?
that way too. We tried to do it that way, but that's not working for her. So
Okay.
what she's gonna do is send me a file, and if we get it in time, we'll send it to you, and maybe that can be put up as a flyer on during the meeting. So, but that's
Okay, so we'll table her to the end of the meeting then. Okay.
Commissioner
And so,
Scott has something.
Yeah, there is funding available now, the COV at the veterans. They don't get money from the.
Excuse me?
Have they called the veterans?
Yeah, that's what I do. When I get an email or phone call and they tell me, I tell them specifically, I give them a direct phone number. You know, if the VA, they have the COVID resources available. They have MVAA
Right,
available. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, there's funding available now.
Yes. Yes, it is. So I think it's just a matter of them reaching out. And as I was sharing, the reason why they often don't reach out, because they don't feel, it's kind of like before, when I came to the VA to share with you back in '96, I asked for help. And they told me I had adjustment disorder, and they did, you know, I didn't get the help I needed. So it took me, you know, becoming, excuse me?
Yeah, well, just tell her things have changed. So there is some funding available now.
No, I was just sharing a little bit of my experience. I was saying since then, when I became a homeless veteran, that's how I found out about all the resources, because I was a working veteran. I didn't necessarily feel I needed it. So now that I'm an advocate and have a nonprofit organization, when they do call me or when I hear about someone, we try to connect it with them. So I'm just sharing with you what my experience has been and some of the barriers we have with reaching women veterans.
right, and I agree with you that there may be resources, but it's almost like it's hidden resources. So
Yes.
you have to dig deep for the resources out there. And we have to really do a better job of providing easy access to that information. Because I know people ask me all the time, where can they, you know, get basic services? And we have our director of veteran services who's going to talk to some of the services that we do provide. And he recently created a nice one-pager that I think you would be interested in, Shannon.
Yes.
That's very helpful. So we'll make sure you get that as well.
I want to share this. I think, like you said, having a one-pager, having a website, having a flyer, and pushing it through those social media platforms is great. So anything like that, if they want to share it or give it to me, I'll definitely push it out and put the word out. So I think that's more or less what it is. And then often, as you know, vets trust vets. We trust them. So having another veteran, and I'm more likely going to share more with you than someone that's not a veteran.
Mhm. Well, thank you again. Any other questions from commissioners?
No, I just wanted them to know that there's dollars available in this COVID funding now for rent, for, you know, if you own your own home, for mortgages and other stuff, for repairs on their homes. They just need to call the office.
And what office?
The
And
director.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's going to talk to that and,
Okay,
and
great.
provide all of
Okay.
that
All right.
information for you.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank
you. All right. So, Madam Clerk.
3, an update from Kwesi Betsarai, Director of the Division of Veteran Services.
Are you here? You muted? I thought I saw him earlier.
Yeah, I saw him also. Let me go make sure he's not muted. It doesn't say he's muted.
Okay.
It show he's muted.
All right, can you
And
hear
now
me?
he's not.
Oh, now we can hear him.
Okay. I tried both forms. I tried the telephone first, and then I just used my cell phone to dial in. So, good afternoon, everyone.
Good
Good
afternoon.
afternoon. I guess I'm not the only one having problems today.
You can hear me though, right?
Yes, we can.
So I'd like to thank you all for giving me an opportunity to talk today. I'd like to thank Sergeant Shannon for joining this. Before I go into my piece on what we're doing, I just want to make sure that Sergeant Shannon understands that Wayne County Veteran Services is open for business, right? And I'll give you information. I want to make sure we circle back to each other, link up, so I can push that information out to you. But I've had some conversations about women veterans for the last few months, trying to understand what are some of the issues. And some of the issues I came across, you mentioned as well, is homelessness. But it's not just homelessness, it's homelessness with kids.
Yes.
And currently no housing available for that. So that is something that I'm having conversations with on how to assist some folks. And it may be premature, has to be approved, but I am working on trying to provide some housing for veterans in Wayne County, and it would be effort with female and some space for female veterans and their kids and male veterans. So as you mentioned before, we serve together, we should be able to live together, and it would entail some counseling services and things of that sort. So stay tuned for that. I want to make sure you get my information at the end of this call, because I have been working with other women organizations. And so you talked about transportation. That has been a challenge for all veterans, right? And then the question is, what do you want transportation for, right? Because there's limited resources for back and forth to general errands, but there is transportation to go to the VA hospitals in Detroit and Ann Arbor. So we need to really, unpack that statement, transportation for what, and then maybe we can take a look at how to make that happen, right? So I am aware that sexual assault is something that I've had a lot of conversations with female veterans, right? And then a domestic violence. That's another thing that befalls female veterans. I'm getting a lot smarter on that issue. And then you also talked about, because of that sexual assault on active duty, they get dishonorable discharges, right? And there's a big gap between dishonorable discharges and honorable discharges. And then you start talking about that bundle of benefits that's given to the veterans. It's a big gap. You really can't close it. So we need to figure out ways to do that as well. So I really want to have those conversations with you, and I can partner you with some other female organizations, veteran service organizations in Metro Detroit, and although Southfield is Oakland County, I want to make sure we partner, because these veterans can go from one side of 8 Mile to the other. We want to make sure we put them with the right resources. All right, cool. So just off the top, I'm a 28-year Army veteran. I did Desert Storm, OIF, OEF. So I understand from the enlisted side of the house and the officer side of the house what that means, what female veterans go through. Okay, so I want to make sure you get my information and we can partner on some initiatives to make it a lot better. Okay.
Wonderful. Thank you.
That was a mouthful, I know. So I just wanted to go away from her comments. That she caught my. So what has Wayne County Veteran Services been doing? We have been adjusting to this new landscape of having everything remote. We're adjusting. We've been open for business since mid-March online. And we are learning that a lot of our veterans are not prepared to conduct business online. A lot of times they may have a cell phone. But they really don't know how to maximize their use of it. They don't realize they have scanning capabilities. A lot of the veterans that we have are, yes, not exactly tech savvy as we thought. And they were relying upon community services, community recreation centers and the sort that had laptops available for them to conduct their business. And a lot of our traffic was foot traffic. So now that everything is closed, we have a reduction in the type of people wanting some services from us. But we do get a nice amount of veterans calling us on a daily basis and then getting served online. So again, we're doing our darndest to make sure we get that message out there. I'll tell you, a lot of the clients that we've gotten have been, the majority have been from Detroit since mid-March. And we've had some from Lincoln Park, Romulus, Westland, Harper Woods, Redford, for just general claims of water, shelter, which shelter would be rent or mortgage payments. And I'll tell you, this time last year, we had a great deal more clients asking for assistance. And that was partially because the utility companies put a freeze on shutting services off during the cold months. And usually in this period of time, we would have a lot more traffic, right? Because now now that the freeze is over, they need to find a way and get some assistance on paying those bills. So we expect once the order is lifted and business resumes, we should see more shut-off notices coming, thus more clients calling us for some assistance. The same thing applies to the rent assistance and the mortgage assistance. We expect to see an uptick once everybody or the landlords are allowed to start processing eviction notices or requests to have that rent paid. So we're standing by ready to address those issues should they occur. So I just wanted to share that piece with you as well. And a lot of the veterans that have been coming to our office have been mostly from the Vietnam era. We have not had an awful lot from the Persian Gulf era, but mostly Vietnam veterans for whatever reason. So I want to make sure I shared that, kind of give you an idea of who's calling us, who are we giving our services to. The usual amount of burial policies come through our office as well. We did not see an increase because of COVID-19. It's just the normal pattern of deaths for older veterans and the normal illnesses that impact veterans and other residents in Wayne County. So a few of you received some literature from me via email, reference the services that veterans, reference the services that we provide. Just so you know, I sent those same emails and some other materials to the local senator offices, state senator offices, of course, county commissioner, Detroit City Council, veteran service organizations throughout Wayne County, throughout the state, and area churches. Over 100 plus churches receive that information. So we're finding other ways to give these folks an opportunity to hear about our services. What's on the horizon next? We actually partnered with the Meals on Wheels and put roughly 5,000 brochures in the hands of the Meals on Wheels volunteers so they can push it out to those. We felt like that was an audience that would definitely receive it, and sometimes they like a hard copy document in their hands, so we made sure we provided that. Just this past week in Wyandotte, I coordinated a food drop with Gleaners Food Bank, and in Wyandotte, those foods went to veterans, seniors, and the residents in Wyandotte, and each one of those families received some flyers from Veteran Services just to make sure they get the word out. I'll tell you, it's been interesting. Just going out there and trying to understand what the need is. And it runs the usual gamut. There's families that are hungry, and there's other folks who need some assistance, and they also fall in that dishonorable discharge bucket. So that's when we get with the veteran service organizations in that community and try to find a way to help those families. What's on the horizon? We're going to try to do some billboards to make sure people know that we exist. Ditto for radio ads, PSAs, and just leveraging opportunities, for me at least, going on Zoom calls, conference calls. That's the new normal. Before, I would go out and speak in public sometimes twice, 3 times a week. But now everything is digital, so it's either Zoom conference calls or Microsoft Teams conference calls or just teleconferences to make sure that we get that information out there about veterans. I will take a pause and right there, everybody. And I just want to give everybody an idea of what we've been working on. Tomorrow night, I'm involved with Best for Vets, another local veteran service organization. And they provide resources, and they provide a network for veterans to get some services. So that's what I'll be doing tomorrow night. I'm going to pause right there and just take any questions from anybody.
Okay, does any of the commissioners have questions?
Yes, Madam the Chair, this is El Hadis. Hi, you're doing a great job, excellent. The funding for what you're doing, is you have adequate funding from the county or the federal or the state? You've been able to respond to all the need?
With the resources, with the resources I have right now, I do have some monies, but I have monies for wartime veterans. What I'm working on is getting with the county commission's approval is a $500,000 grant for peacetime veterans, because that's another bucket that is falling through the cracks.
Yes.
There's a large amount of veterans that I have not been able to serve because they didn't serve between Vietnam and Desert Storm, or between Desert Storm and OIF or OEF. So I reached out to MVA, Michigan Veteran Affairs Agency, and I've been working to secure a grant for $500,000. Those monies will be able to allow me to help those peacetime veterans in Wayne County. So that was a gap I believe the grant will fill. Some of those monies will be allotted for Myers gift cards. I expect some of those monies to arrive next week, so I can help more families in Wayne. So that's what I've been working on to fill those gaps. So again, the monies that I'm giving for wartime veterans, I feel right now are sufficient, right? My goal is to be able to say that I'm running out of money. I'm not there yet. I believe when I get those materials out there to the public, and when I do some advertising on billboards across Wayne County, it will become visible. Because again, there's a lot of people who do not believe that Wayne County and most government entities are open for business.
Yes.
So that's a challenge. So I am finding all kinds of creative ways to tell everybody we are open, we are here to help.
My last question, Madam the Chair, is in the past, for a while, we have a complaint from some of the veteran about the health care in Detroit or in Ann Arbor. How things going now in the veteran hospital on both sides, Ann Arbor and Detroit? Is things moving smoothly? And people been able to see a doctor or need a procedure in timely manner?
I'm sorry, was that for me, Commissioner?
Yes. Oh, just how the veteran hospital been providing the healthcare need for the veterans. Is there backlog? People have to wait long time, or their short-term appointment?
So last week we did a virtual town hall with Mr. Evans, and we had a veteran administration representative on the call, and he mentioned that they are working remote, as Sergeant Shannon mentioned, and there is a process where they have to wait, right? Because they just can't walk in like they could before. So I don't know how long those waits are.
Mhm.
I imagine if it's immediate health care, then that's when the VA usually kicks in and says that you can go to your local hospital to get that treatment. So if it's something that's life-threatening, just like any other healthcare plan, you can go outside that healthcare plan to get that treatment. So that's how I understand it. So I don't think you will see anybody dying because they can't get healthcare. And that's something that the health plan allows you to go outside because of these conditions right now.
Thank you. Thank
Yes,
you,
sir.
Madam Chair.
Any other commissioners have any questions?
Commissioner Scott? Tell
Yes,
us.
go right ahead. Mhm.
Okay. I wonder if he knew how many people, veterans, they were been able to service the wartime ones with the funding that they received from the COVIS.
Ma'am, I did not receive any additional monies during this period because I felt like what I had was sufficient. I didn't want to take any extra monies and not be able to apply it right now. So
Okay, what I meant was, how many have you been able to service during this time, the last 3 months?
Say that it's probably under or close to 50. I'm looking at some two different documents right here. Probably about 50, right? But that's monetary. That doesn't include how many conversations we've had with veterans on how to get their benefits. That doesn't include conversations with veterans on the telephone about which resources to outside of our agency. So we have roughly 20 to 25 phone calls every day from veterans. And surprisingly, the phone calls come at night and on the weekends, right? They leave voicemails. So we're finding ways to help those veterans, but they're not always a monetary answer.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Madam the Chair, this is El Hadis. I like to be excused. I have emergency. I have to leave.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mhm.
Madam Chair, could I ask a quick question? This is Commissioner Dodd.
Sure, Commissioner Dodd.
Thank you. Quincy, I was so happy that you were able to keep your department open and working remotely during the COVID crisis. Do you plan on keeping that option for remote, communications once the department does open back up for in-person visits as well, so that veterans who maybe live out in my area, Plymouth Canton, who find it inconvenient or difficult or even impossible to drive to downtown Detroit, can get services through your department?
Yes. What's funny is prior to COVID-19 hitting, the week before, I just had a call with a conference with the IT team on how do we do that. So this is actually kind of cut them out of the equation, and we've made it happen. Before they could come up with a plan, we just started doing it remote. We modified our forms. We strengthened our veterans database for our previous clients. We've added, so we have found a way to do it remote. It's been a win for the folks who are downriver, and we expect more, again, just because of those outreach efforts last week and all the emailings. We expect to see an awful lot more clients reach out to us. So I do not have any plans on stop. This is what's necessary because, as you mentioned, Commissioner Daub, there's quite a few people who do not want to drive to downtown Detroit. So back to our plan, the long-term plans, I have satellite offices across Wayne County. And it may be twice a week at one location or whatever it takes to make sure we find those veterans and let them know that we are there to help them.
Great to hear that. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I do have one question, sir. Oh.
Okay, so Mr. Betzerai, just wanted to clarify the amount of funds that we have available. And I know that it rolls over each year. Is that correct?
It does because of but yes, it will anticipate the property taxes. So Ideally, we have more people moving into Wayne County so we can get more money and then help more people.
Okay, and do you have the amount of funds that we have left at this point?
I do not have that in front of me, but I can reach out to M&B and get those numbers. But I believe I'm adequately supplied right now, right? And that's all based on the fact that I have not been flooded with a great deal of calls at this moment. That could change, but I do believe in our reserves we do have some more monies available to action the claim.
Right. And Sergeant Shannon, did you have a question?
Oh yeah, I was just gonna make a statement that I've been getting phone calls from the younger veterans, and they're feeling out of the loop too, because most of them won't go to VFW or DAV because I think that's too old school for them. So most of the challenge I've been having too is I've had some call me and say they feel like even though they had some change happening in the eras from Vietnam to Desert Storm to Afghanistan's OEF and whatnot, they still feel like they don't have a place to go, or it's still some confusion. I think a lot of people assume, well, everybody knows VA, everybody knows this and whatnot. So I just wanted to just kind of make a little statement. I don't know if there's been some efforts to try to reach the younger veteran population.
I'll share with you the conversations I've had with the VFW and the American Legion is that they're asking the younger veterans to just come to to their various chapters, right? Mm-hmm. And just see what they're about. Yes, there are a lot of older veterans because they have more time. The younger veterans don't have a lot of time to hang out at the lodge, VFW lodge. But they can change that. The suggestion from the Veteran Service Organization is that if you I guess what's the baseball analogy? If you build it, they will come, Field of Dreams. So if you show up, we'll build something for you. And that's been the sentiment from the VFW and the Veteran Service Organizations that I've spoken to over the last year.
Great. Thank you.
And Sergeant Shannon, prepare to copy my number down real quick.
Okay. Okay.
312-224-5659.
Okay, thank you.
Call me after this and then I'll just back brief you, okay?
Okay, great.
Cool?
Cool.
Okay, any other commissioners have any questions? Well, thank you so much, Mr. Betsarai. You're doing a great job. And we will look for the fund balance. If you can get that to us when you can, that would be great.
Thank you, Commissioner Baker McCormick, for taking all my calls and helping me. And
no problem.
All of the commissioners, you guys have been just awesome for me.
Okay, and I just thought about it. The flyer that you sent me, I don't know if it was sent out to the other commissioners.
It was.
Okay, it was. Okay, great. And I guess I can get a copy, or I'll get a copy to Sergeant Shannon as well, because that's a great one-pager.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the advice. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no problem. And thank you again. The next item, please.
Or an update from Lisa Whitmore Davis, Director of the Department of Senior Services.
Good afternoon.
All right, Ms. Davis. Yeah, how are you?
I'm well, Commissioner. Thank you so much for the opportunity to come before you today. And in the spirit of collegiality, we are just really happy to support Mr. Betsarai and his division's efforts in reaching older adults who may participate in the Meals on Wheels program, but may be veterans or care for veterans or connected to veterans. So I just wanted you to be aware, coming behind his dynamic presentation, that our department is trying to make sure that not only are we providing nutritional support to older adults in Wayne County, but also providing them with information that various departments and information that they can use to enhance their life as they continue to age in Wayne County. So I would love to just share briefly. We have continued to work throughout the furlough. We took our office operations to a virtual platform, but we always were out in the community serving the various 34 cities across Wayne County, providing a nutritious meal. We no longer, as I may have updated this committee last month, we no longer deliver every day. We deliver once a week. That is to ensure that we decrease the COVID-19 risk for our volunteers and our staff, as well as the older adults that we serve. We provide them with a nutritious 5-day frozen meal. Some of the feedback that we've gotten verbally through phone calls and handwritten letters to our office is that they enjoy the frozen offerings, but of course they miss the hot meals, but they thank us for not forgetting about them and for providing that resource in spite of the COVID-19. And due to CARES funding, and it has changed the eligibility for anyone. So now if you're over the age of 60 and you need nutritional support, but you otherwise would not qualify for Meals on Wheels programming during the shelter in place and this CARES legislation, anyone over the age of 60 is eligible to participate, and they can call our office to sign up and for us to get them a part of our program. One of the more long-term changes to our program is that we no longer are able to host the congregate meal site where seniors come into the building, sit in a specific room, and enjoy a congregate meal together. Due to COVID-19, we're no longer able to do that, and many of the senior centers and buildings that we occupy to have that program have been closed by their city governments or by the executive order from the governor. But what we did, we transitioned and reconfigured that program in a drive-up format. About mid-April, we started with the drive-up, and every Monday, and there are about 17, 18 locations. I've sent this document to Mr., I think his name is Toth, James Toth, who's the there at, but I can also share this document again with you, Commissioner McCormick, around where are the congregate 5-pack meal pickup locations across Wayne County, so that if there's someone who participated in the congregate meal program who we have not been able to notify, or they do not want the home delivered meals brought to their home, because some people do not want strangers coming to their home, which is understandable in this COVID-19 environment, they can come to these drive-up sites, and the box of 5 meals, frozen meals, or shelf-stabled meals is placed in their back seat or in their trunk, it's their preference, by a volunteer. So it's a no to low contact exposure, and they can participate in the program that way. As far as PPE, we have made sure that our volunteers receive every week masks, gloves, sanitized wipe, sanitize the sanitizing gel, and for some of our staff, we have requested that they receive the face mask as well as the sanitized jumpsuits if they need to go into the home of an older adult to complete an assessment or to speak with the older adult, because safety is of the highest priority for us. Our staff and our volunteers, we have over 900 volunteers on our list, but about anywhere from about 600 to 700 who are actively still volunteering with us, because many have stepped away due to their concern for their health as many of our volunteers, the average age is around 67 years old, which is a vulnerable part of the population for exposure to COVID. So we have continued to work. We continue to keep working and to continue to keep our volunteers safe and provide the nutritional support and information that our older adults need as they navigate these difficult waters of COVID-19.
Great job. Just a clarification on how many seniors are receiving the services. Has it fallen off, or is it the same, or have you gotten more requests?
More requests.
Okay.
The week ending May 26th, we reported to ASA, that is the state agency that oversees all Meals on Wheels programs. We reported to them that in the congregate program that we served 935 meals in the congregate, and then in the home delivered meals for the week of May 26th, we delivered 13,416 meals.
Wow.
And that went to 2,659 participants. So we have gone up. We were at one point averaging on about 100 clients a week. It has tapered off a little bit, but it's still, we're gaining. We're serving more than we were prior to COVID. To answer your question, but just those numbers alone that we served and shared with ASA indicate our numbers are up in comparison to prior to this pandemic.
Okay, and so with the numbers being up, you still have the adequate volunteers to service and to help? Because I know you said the volunteer level went down, but how are you able to meet the increased needs?
Well, we utilized furloughed employees at one point that volunteered to help us, that were appointees, of course. And then the United Way reached out to the Evans administration, and we have been working closely with them, and they have been extremely supportive. They deliver anywhere from 300 to 400 meals every week to help us fill in the gaps of where we have absences and folks who have said for whatever reason they're not available that week. Our team at Senior Services, we have a deployment discussion every week to look at where our shortcomings may be and how we proactively fill those gaps with the United Way volunteers who are screened and background checked, because that was a priority as well. Just because we were short-handed, we were not going to decrease our diligence around security and keeping the older adults safe, because they are, it's a stranger coming through your door. So they worked with us around identifying folks who want to volunteer and who have, but they had to go through our background requirements to be eligible to serve.
Great. Well, thank you so much for your report. Any commissioners have questions? I know we have a 2:00 meeting that we have to get to, but any questions? No. Well, thank you so much, Ms. Davis, Whitmore Davis. You're doing a wonderful job. And then our last item, we'll quickly move through Ms. DeRusso. Am I saying your name correctly? Are you here? I thought she got on the
Can
call.
you hear me?
Yes, I can now.
Oh, okay. I wasn't for sure, so that's why I was just, but
Yes.
it's Dericio, and I'm still here.
Dericio, yes. Well, thank you so much for attending our meeting today. If you can briefly tell us who you are, what you do, as well as the event that is coming up, the Veterans event.
Thank you. So, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Alexis DeRicio, and I've served in the U.S. Army for 8 years. And currently, I'm starting a women's organization called Motown Women's Veteran Association. And at least 3 or 4 times of the year, I'll try to put on events, especially geared to our female veterans. And this year is featured on our Women's Veterans Day that Governor Whitmer has signed for last year to announce that June the 12th will be sort of a national holiday for female veterans across the country. And so this year, since the 12th is falling on a Friday, we plan to celebrate it on the 13th here at 301 Pequot. And we'll be doing curbside service, practicing safe distancing as the female veterans drive up, where we made swag bags and different other organizations have joined in with us to present the female veterans with different type of awards or gift certificates and things of that nature. And so basically, we just wanted the women to know that the importance of June 12th was back in 1948 when Harriet Truman, he signed for the first integration of female veterans into the military services. And since then, this is the 72nd year that is being celebrated. But this is the first time in history that June the 12th is being celebrated across the nation. So we're just hoping to get the word out so that we can get as many female veterans as we can to come and participate in this event.
Yes, and I don't know if you were on the call when we started. I said that today I introduced a resolution that calls for Wayne County to acknowledge June 12th as Women Veterans Recognition Day. So we all signed off on that today. All of the commissioners unanimously agreed to it. So that is a very special acknowledgement by all the commissioners to acknowledge women veterans. And what I would like,
what an honor.
Yeah, and what I would like you to do is also, I don't know if you got the number to our Veterans Director, Mr. Betsarai. Okay, yeah, if we can in any way, I don't know if you knew about the event, maybe we can help with that event on, it's next Friday, not this Friday, right?
We'll be celebrating it Saturday, June the 13th.
June 13th.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I don't know if we can maybe help in any way with that, but maybe you can give Mr. Betsarai a call. And what do you think, Mr. Betsarai?
I'll tell. Here's my number, ma'am.
Okay.
And then for 313-224.
Wait a minute, you're going too fast. She said 6. That's all I heard.
313. 224. 59.
Yes. Okay, so we're breaking up again. I'm here. Okay, I heard 313-224.
5659.
Okay.
Great.
Mr. Vestera. Thank you.
To Mr. Rich, nice. I'm Stephanie Shannon here. I'm willing to share your information and your events.
Yep.
So.
That would.
Go ahead.
That would be great.
Do you have a number of email or some way to
yes,
get
you know
yes,
what? Yeah, I'll give both of you the contact information for each other, so you'll have it, and I'll send both of you the flyer that Mr. Betsarai office created. That's a 1-pager that talks to all of the services at Wayne County. Okay. Any commissioners have any other questions? Okay. Well, thank you all so much for attending our meeting today. The next item, Madam Clerk.
E, such other matters as may be properly submitted before the committee.
I believe there's no other matters. Any commissioners have any other matters? Next item.
Public comments.
Any public comments from anyone? Any public comments?
Just thank you for the opportunity and thank you for putting women veterans on this platform. You're doing a great job.
Thank you.
Thank you, definitely.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank you all for attending the meeting today. The more we talk with women veterans and others, then we know what the needs are in the community. So thank you again. And unfortunately, we have another meeting to attend, so I'm kind of pushing through this part. But if there are any other public comments out there? Anyone on the phone? Public comments? All right, we'll move to the next item.
Adjournment.
So moved.
We have a support. Meeting adjourned. Thank you again for attending, and we will see you soon. All right.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.